Here to discuss it all is Chief Strategist and Communications Director for the Republican National Committee, Sean Spicer. Sean, great to have you here.
Good morning.
Remember when we first met a year ago, and you came in to introduce yourself into the New Day offices, and it seemed like an eternity, and here we are. It's happening.
This is the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, you're a student of this stuff. What's going to happen tonight?
Today's going to all be about turnout. How many folks can get their people to the polls? How many new-time caucus goers show up? How many low-propensity caucus goers come? This isn't like a primary where you just have to go and check a ballot. You've got to go to your caucus site and be part of the process. I think that shows a real commitment that folks have to a particular candidate on both sides of the aisle. And obviously, from where I sit, the big game is going to be watching what Hillary Clinton does, because I think you don't have to be in Des Moines or anywhere in Iowa a long time to sort of feel the burn. I think Bernie Sanders has got an amazing ground game here, and it's going to be how close he does to her.
Let's look at voter turnout of years past. In 2008, it was 20%, a little more than 20% of the Iowa voters. This is just for the GOP. And in 2012, it was close to 20%. What do you expect tonight?
That's the big X factor tonight, right? We've got to figure out how many of these candidates have gotten new folks registered. You can show up at your caucus site, at least on our side, register, and then caucus. And I think that's a big deal, that there's a lot of unknown right now. You saw that in 2008 on the Democratic side, where President Obama was able to bring a lot of new people into the process and get them to caucus for him, and that was what surprised Hillary Clinton back in 2008. The question for both sides of the aisle right now today is, how many folks did you bring that are new? How many of those committees that have a history of going to the caucuses are coming for you? But that's when you've got 125,000 people that normally show up at a caucus site, the margin to be able to improve turnout is pretty big.
What do you think of Ted Cruz's tactic that he's using, where he's sending out these mailers to voters saying voter violation in big red letters if they hadn't caucused before? Is that overly aggressive?
Well, in this day and age, I mean, there are social science studies that show that kind of methods get people to show up or to give or to activate.
It does.
It does. And there's no question. And we've seen a lot of that on both sides socially, people using Facebook and Twitter to do that. The proof will be in the pudding tonight, whether or not that was a good thing or not. But I think there's obviously a lot of action on all sides to get those people to the polls.
I know that you can't say that you have any horse in this game. I understand. You're the RNC. You have to maintain neutrality. However, for the party, what would be better if Donald Trump has decisive wins in Iowa and New Hampshire and thereafter, or if this is a long, long primary process and different people have scattered wins?
It's a great question, because I think that there's an upside of each. One is, you get your nominee early, but we played that game in 2008 with John McCain, and it worked out better for the Democrats when Obama and Hillary went at it to about June, got the intensity on their side and kept it going. I think that on our side, the more people that get part of this process, the better. We get more data, we get more enthusiasm, more excitement. So I'd like to make sure that I'd like to see this thing go until early April, which is when I do think that we'll have a nominee.
Do you think you're going to see some people dropping out after tonight?
Well, each campaign is going to make that decision for themselves, right? But at the end of the day, historically, Iowa does winnow the field a little bit. New Hampshire winnows the field a little bit. The difference this year, though, is that there's only 6. We've narrowed the calendar by 68 days, and so that it doesn't take as much to stay in the race as before. So each of these individuals is going to have to decide whether or not they've got the support and the resources they need to continue.
What's Donald Trump doing in Little Rock, Arkansas on Tuesday?
You'll have to ask Donald Trump what he's doing. But there's a lot of states that are now moved up, and I think that what you're seeing is candidates who are getting to early states a lot more. That March 1st deadline on our side, we have 11 states going.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of states that people have not traditionally seen in play, Delaware, Massachusetts, Alaska,
sure,
that are now on that March 1st deadline, on the Super Tuesday, that are going to be in play.
I just didn't know if you had any insight into if there was going to be some sort of endorsement coming out of Arkansas. All right, anyway, thanks, Sean. We'll be with you for the next many hours.
That's
Great
right.
to have you here.